Since the inception of the West African Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination, university requirement has largely called for 5 subjects. Mandatory among these are English language and mathematics. Every year, thousands of students run into the cause of either having to resit for not getting credits on English and mathematics or painfully changing career path owing to same. To help modify this narrative, Star Television presents on your screen Learning Garage, a platform that guarantees better performance in English language and mathematics with a team of experienced teachers. To this solution, you all are invited, especially those facing WASC. Learning Garage comes to you on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Repeat broadcasts are screened on Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and on Sundays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Join host Ali Sonta Kamara.
If you mean such element, then of course we'll say the waters of the world in that regard.
And Babatunde Gaira Lamin on these days to make a world of difference.
Fraction that has a numerator which is less than the denominator, we term it as a proper fraction.
Hello there, welcome to Learning Garage. I am Sonta and this is the grammar segment. Well, today we are continuing with tenses we began last week. We are proceeding today with the remaining ones. I'll have 2 or 3 elements onto them, okay? So today we are going to look at the past perfect tense and the future perfect tense, regarding the aspect dealing with tenses. Then of course we'll have a look at joint ownership in terms of plurality, and then we'll have some controversial, we'll take a question that is very controversial. Then of course we'll offer our own, of course, stance regarding what is right about it, okay? So we are beginning with tenses. We are beginning with the past perfect tense, okay? Last week we went through a number of them: present tense, present progressive, past tense, past progressive, of course, the future simple, the be going to future, and you call them up. So we looked at them. So today we are going to continue looking at 2 other elements making tense, okay, or shall I say tenses: the past perfect and the future perfect. So we speak of, or shall I say, the formula. The formula for the past perfect is had, H-A-D, had, plus the past participle of any verb. Had, H-A-D, had, plus the past participle of any verb. So had eaten, had run, had sung, had imagined, had flown. So had, H-A-D, had, okay? So we speak of the past perfect tense in a situation where we have 2 past activities, 2 past events, okay? In which case, immediately the first one ended, the other one began. 2 past events, immediately the first one ended, the other one began. 2 past activities, okay? One following the other immediately after, like that. Now, the idea dealing with the first action will carry the past perfect, and the idea dealing with the second action will carry simple past. 2 past activities, the one following the other immediately. Okay, so wherein the first action should carry the past perfect tense, the other action should be in past tense or simple past. That's the reality, of course. So, example, for instance, we arrived home. Okay, we left home after the rain had stopped. We left home after the rain had stopped. So, leaving home and the ceasing of the rain are 2 past activities. But the idea dealing with the rain ceasing, is the one that occurred first. So, we left home after the rain had stopped. So meaning we only, of course, left home after the ceasing of the rain, for instance. That's the reality. So 2 past activities. The first action should carry the past perfect tense. The other action, of course, should be in simple past. So you see, example, we have here, we have here, when I came to the station, the bus had already left. You see, two activities. The idea about coming, and the one doing with the bus leaving. So when I came to the station, the bus had already left. So had already left is what we refer to as the past perfect tense, and came is in past tense. We use it when we have two past activity. The first one ended before the other one began, for instance, those two. So here again we have, the rain had stopped when we returned. The rain had stopped when we returned. You see here, had stopped is the first activity. Return is that activity. Okay, it's the one that occurred immediately after the ceasing of the rain. Okay, so this is called the past perfect tense, and this is simple past. So we use this tense when we have two past activity, the other occurring immediately after the first one. But in a situation or circumstance where we have several past actions, in one sentence, we have several past actions in one sentence, we have to group them according to what happened first and what happened later. All the actions that occur first are supposed to be in what? Supposed to be in past perfect, and all those occurring later supposed to be in simple past. Example, when I opened the door and turned on the light, I saw that robbers had broken into the house and had stolen all my valuables. See, when I opened the door and turned the light on, I saw that robbers had broken into the house and had stolen all my valuables. You like that, of course, when I opened the door and turned on the light, I saw the robbers had broken into the house and had stolen all my valuables. Now, the breaking into the house and the stealing of my valuables are in fact the activities the early activities. They are the first actions that took place. The ones doing it what? Opening the door, switching on the light, and of course, and then seeing, they are the ones that occurred later. You see, so we put them in past tense, and the first activities came in past perfect. When I opened the door and turned on the light, turn on, Turned, and turned on the light, I saw that robbers had broken into the house and had stolen all my valuables. So because they are the elements that took place before the first actions, so we put them in the what? In the past perfect. So if you have several past actions in one sentence, you have to group them according to which actions took place first and which ones, of course, occurred later. The later ones were to be put in the simple past tense, and the first ones are required to come in in the past perfect tense. The earlier ones, past perfect tense, later ones in in simple past or past tense at that. Again, when I opened the door and turned on the light, I saw robbers had broken into the house and had stolen all my valuables. See? So, had stolen, had broken, of course, are the past perfect tense. Okay, they conform to the idea dealing with the past perfect. Okay? But the one dealing with opening, opened, and the one dealing with turn on, of course, and the one dealing with the saw are what? Simple past or past tense. They occurred after the door, the breaking of the door, the house, and of course the stealing of my valuables. Like that. So you have to think about the situation in which this tense should be used. They are to be used when you have two past activity. The first one, not the first one ended, then the other one began. Like that. So there must be that immediate, relationship between them. So that's the kind of idea you are to have regarding the past perfect tense. And the formula is had Okay, had plus the past participle of any verb. We did that one some time ago. We spent time. So let's come down to the other tense we are going to look at today. Okay, we are going to look at today, and that is the future perfect tense. The formula for the future perfect tense is will plus have plus the past participle of any verb. Will plus have plus the past participle of any verb. Okay, we call that one the future perfect simple. We add the future perfect conditional. The formula is would instead of will plus have plus the past perfect tense. Plus the past participle. The would plus have plus the past participle. Okay, so we call that one the future perfect conditional. The future perfect simple is will plus have plus the past participle. The would plus have plus the past participle is called the future perfect conditional. So the future perfect simple refers to the future from now on to the future, from the present to the future. Okay, that's the idea actually. And then the future perfect conditional, the would plus have plus the past participle of the verb, that one is used to refer to past. To refer to the future from the past. To refer to the future from the past. But the first one is about the future from the present. The future from the present is the will plus have plus the past participle. That's from the present, of course, to the future. But the would plus have plus the past participle, that one what is talking about the past. Okay, past activity. The future. In the past at that. So you see, we use the future perfect tense for an action that will be completed within a particular time in the future. Example. So if the point of reference is in the present, we use future perfect simple. That is the will plus the have plus the past participle. So see here, I hope I will have improved. You see here, I hope I will have improved my swimming by the end of the dries. So the reference is about now onto the future. Okay, I hope I will have improved my swimming by the end of the dries, or by the end of the dry season, for instance. Something you are like thinking about, something you hope to, of course, finish with at a particular time in the future. So of course we require this tense, the will plus the have plus, of course, the past participle of any verb. So this here is the past participle of improve, and the element about will and have are here. We call this one the future perfect simple. So the reference is now. Now we add the other one. If the reference point is about the past, then of course we require what? We require the would plus the have plus the past participle of the verb. So see here, I hoped I would have improved my swimming by the end of the dries, but I did not. I didn't try hard enough. So, either about hoped gives you a clue about something referring to the past, but in this case, it's about the past in the future, okay, or the future from the past in this case. So, I hoped I would have improved my swimming by the end of the dries, but I did not. I didn't try hard enough. And this is the formula for the future perfect conditional. Future perfect conditional. Remember, we have the future perfect simple. The formula is the will plus the have plus the past participle. And we have the future perfect conditional is the would plus the have plus the past participle. So the future perfect conditional, we will find it, or we will of course use it under what? Under if clause. We will find this one under the third condition. That will be part of our class by the power of God next week. We will look at if clauses and then how in fact they make use of tenses as well. So now, normally when talking about the future perfect, whether be it simple or be it conditional, we almost always use by and with a time marker. By next week, by next tomorrow, by tomorrow, for instance, by November, by December, by then. So normally we use the by stuff to talk about with this kind of tense, whether the future perfect conditional or the simple aspect, the element that of course always goes with this kind of tense will be the by and of course any time marker in this case. So example is here by time, by January, by then. So that's how it is. And please, I always say this, there are two ways to learn grammar, and these are structure and of course usage. You have to be able to identify tenses. When you see a present perfect tense, you should be able to tell. Future perfect tense, you should be able to tell. The past perfect tense, you should be able to tell. Okay, what tenses are they? And that's one thing. And you should be able to determine their usages. Very, very essential. If you have it in mind, then you have less problem when it comes to grammar itself. Because grammar is all about this one. Grammar is about understanding usage, understanding structure. Once they are with you, everything falls into place. Okay, so much so for if of course the future perfect tense simple. The future perfect simple again is will plus have plus any past participle of the verb. Then the future perfect conditional is would, W-O-U-L-D, would plus have plus the past participle of the verb. The future perfect simple is is dealing with idea around something now and has got link to the future, of course. Okay, the future perfect conditional has to do with something that has an idea about the past. Okay, that's the idea, and mostly about something you cannot do, something you fail to do, of course. Let that be in your mind regarding this tense. And of course, for the past perfect tense, I told you the future, the formula is had plus the past participle of any verb. Had eaten, had flown, had taken, had swum, for instance. I told you we use the past perfect tense when we have two past activities. No sooner the first one ended than the other one began. Immediately, there must be that immediacy kind of relationship between them. And I told you, if we have several past actions in one sentence, we are to group them according to which happened first and which happened later. All that happened first are supposed to what? To carry the past perfect tense, and all that occurring later supposed to be what? In simple past tense, or just past tense at that. That could be the idea I want you to have in mind regarding those two tenses. Okay, so we are going to look at some past questions regarding tenses altogether. Now we have this one. Here we have the boys dash football when the teacher entered the class. The boy dash football when the teacher entered the class. June 2012. Here we have A, are discussing. B, A cannot be the answer because of this verb. Okay? It's in past tense, so whatever verb that has to occupy this place supposed to be, something that refers to the past as well. Okay? So are discussing is out of the case. B, were discussing. B would be our answer. Because I told you in our last class, in fact, that the past progressive has three usages. We use the past progressive in three different circumstances. One, when two relatively long actions are happening at the same time. That's one. Like for instance, while we were singing, the boys were dancing, for instance. Two long actions happening at the same time. Or when a shorter action interrupts longer one. In this case, okay, the idea about entering interrupt an ongoing action. In this case, we're discussing. The boys were discussing football when the teacher entered. That's the other usage of the past progressive. So it's the best here. Beware, we'll be discussing no. This is what? The future progressive. This is the future progressive we'll be discussing, is not the answer. And they will discuss, of course, is a future. So our answer is option B for the reason I've posited to you, of course. Next question. The student complained that he dashed the teacher. The student complained that he dashed the teacher, and of course, the idea about complain gives us a clue about, in fact, about the idea that we are talking about the past tense. Meaning, any verb occupying this place supposed to have relationship with past tense. Okay, with past idea in this case. So I could not hear. The student complained that he could not hear the teacher. That's fine. Okay, because could, of course, is in past tense, and in this case we require it. Okay. B, the student complained that he was not hearing no. That's, of course, not the case. Not the case. So we only use the past progressive for, in 3 different circumstances. One, when we have 2 relatively long actions happening at the same time. When 2 relatively long actions happening at the same time. That's 1. 2, when a short action interrupts long action. And 3, when we are referring what? To the future from the past. In this case. So I was expecting him yesterday, but he didn't show up. So was expecting, it's about referring to the future from the past. Okay, while we were singing, they were dancing. 2 long action happened at the same time. Okay, of course, I was watching TV when he came in. The idea of coming in interrupts long action. In this case, was watching. You see, so those are the 3 circumstances, or these are the 3 circumstances in which we use the past progressive. So the idea we find here does not correspond to what actually B gives us. So B is out. And C does not here. Well, this one we are referring to the past tense, and here we have something doing with the present tense out of the case. And D is not hearing no. So our answer is what? The student complained that he could not hear the teacher. That's it. He was not hearing the teacher. Okay, so my brother dash in Lagos for the past 10 years. My brother dash in Lagos for the past 10 years. A we have is living. Normally, when we have 4, we are to think about what we refer to as the present perfect tense in this case. 4 and since are markers that, of course, allow us to use the present perfect tense. So my brother dashed in Lagos for the past 10 years. Okay, an activity that occurred in the past and is still ongoing. That would be the present perfect tense. A we have is living. No, my brother is living in Lagos. No, that is what is the present, of course, progressive. We say we use the present progressive for an activity that is happening now that will stop sooner or later. So of course, it's out of the case. B has been living. My brother has been living in Lagos for the past 10 years. Of course, B is fine for an activity that began in the past and is still ongoing. Okay? So it's fine here. C will have lived. My brother will have lived in Lagos. No, we are not talking about what? The future perfect in this case. It's the future perfect simple. No. And D, lived. No, my brother lived in Lagos for the past 10 years. No. So the sentence is giving us a clue about, to think about an activity that began in the past and that is still ongoing. So B is fine. So we come to the next question. No wonder Pabi is now in the national team. He dashed very well since his youth. So he dashed very well since his youth. In fact, we can see that in fact here we have since in this question. I told you since and for are markers that direct us, or are markers that give us clue about what tense to use. And in this case, using what? the present perfect tense, the have or has plus the past participle of the verb. Okay, he does very well since his youth. Meaning, this is about what? An activity that began in the past and is still ongoing. So A cannot be the answer. Okay, that is playing. No, we say the present progressive is about an activity that is happening now that will stop sooner or later. B cannot be the answer because when we say past tense about something that occurred in the past and did not continue to the present. Okay, normally what we bring in time marker to indicate that in fact something happened in the past and has no current relevance. So B is out of the case. C has been playing. So he has been playing very well since his youth. Of course, C is our answer for an activity that began in the past and is still ongoing. So of course, he has been playing very well since his youth. That's the idea actually. For an activity that began in the past, in this case since his youthful stage until this time, is that kind of good player. Okay? So D, are they played? No. We cannot use the past perfect tense in this case. When we use the past perfect tense, when we have two past activities, two past actions, no sooner the first one ended than the other began. And the sentence in this question has no idea, and are not giving us a clue regarding this tense. Okay, we come down to the other. Since he's swearing in, the governor dash his hometown. So he's swearing in, the governor dash his hometown. Okay, again here we have what? We have seen something that of course will give us idea about using what? The present perfect tense. Okay, we use the present perfect tense one for an activity that began in the past and is still ongoing, or for an activity that's of course that took place in the past. Okay, took place in the past. Shall I say we don't have a definite time for it. It took place in the past and hasn't got any definite time. There is no definite time. For instance, he has eaten the food, meaning the action took place in the past, and of course we haven't got any time. That's the reality about it all. So since he's swearing in, the governor dash his hometown. So November 2018, we have been giving a clue hinting towards the present perfect tense. Here we have had not been visiting. Had not been visiting, of course, cannot be the answer. This is the past perfect continuous or past perfect progressive. B, we have has not visited. Okay, since he's swearing in, the governor has not visited. B is our answer for an activity that of course that began in the past and has idea about present. Okay, has not visited. Then C, did not visit. No, it's about something. C is expressing an idea about something that occurred in the past and has no current relevance. So it's out of the case. D, are not visited. That's past perfect tense. Okay, is the past perfect tense, and there is no relationship. There is no idea in the sentence expressing relationship with this kind of tense. So B is our answer. Our mother asked whether we dash our meal. Our mother dash whether we dash our meal. And A, we have this one's about. Okay, A, we have here past activity. Good. Whatever that should occupy this place, whatever occupying this place. Okay, so of course should supply us something doing with past tense, or something doing with past activity, would say. So A, we have will be having. No. Our mother asked whether we will be having a meal. No, that cannot be the case. This is what? The future progressive. Okay, that be the case. B, will have. No, everything coming here supposed to have past. Something to do with the past tense, something to do with past idea, not past tense, past idea. C, our mother asked whether we have had a meal. No, it's about what? It's about the present perfect tense, something that happened in the past. Okay, and hasn't got, I mean, at happened in the past at with no indefinite time, that could be one thing, or it happened in the past, or it began in the past and it's of course still ongoing. So C cannot be the answer, but D is our answer. Had. Our mother asked whether we had our meal. In this case, okay, whether the idea about asking only happened after the idea about, I mean, having the meal. Okay, it occurred after the idea about having the meal. Whether we had the meal or not is something that occurred first. And immediately after that one, the idea about asking came up. Okay, so our best option is, of course, D, had. The formula for the past perfect tense is had plus any past participle, and the past tense for have is or has is had. Okay, the past participle again is had as well, so we can use had in this situation. We proceed after dealing with the future perfect tense and the past tense, and of course we have ended the road leading to tenses. We have ended the road into tenses, and then we went through all of them, and then I hope you had some idea about them. We'll find time to revise some of them for better understanding. We are turning our attention on to something very different. In this case, joint ownership. Okay, it's about showing possession, what somebody has, what somebody owns, for instance. Normally, to indicate possession, we normally use apostrophe and an S to indicate, I mean, possession. Okay, Abu's pen, Karim's idea, Alpha's house, for instance. Very, very essential at that. Okay, but normally we are not to add apostrophe and an S to show where with something that is lifeless, something, for instance, house. Okay, or pen, the pen's cover. Okay, the roofs, for instance. Okay, for instance, I would say the chairs, I mean, stool, for this chairs handle. So you cannot make lifeless thing possessive. The best to use will be using what we refer to as possessive preposition, the of. Okay, the handle of the chair. You cannot say the chair's handle. Okay, the cover of the pen. You cannot say the pen's cover. But of course, there are other circumstances in which these are possible. A day's job is possible, but of course, you are to have it in mind that in fact we are not to make most lifeless things and of course object. I mean, in this regard, we are not to add apostrophe and an S to indicate, of course, possession. But for person, we can do Abu's pen, Abu's house, Karim's idea. That one is very, 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 very possible at that. Now we are talking about joint ownership. When two or three people or three persons, in this case, when two or three persons, own a given entity or thing, okay, what we have to do when they own it together, the last person in the list supposed to what? Take the apostrophe S. Okay? But when 3 or 4 persons, okay, own different entities. It could be of the same, but different entities. We have different ownership, separate ownership in this case. Each person in the list supposed to carry an apostrophe and an S. An apostrophe and an S. But when they own a given entity, when 3 or 4 persons own a given entity together, of course, the last person in the list is supposed to what? Carry the apostrophe S. Example, we have here, this is Abu and Karim's house. Joint ownership. You cannot say, this is Abu's and Karim's house, when in fact, the car belongs to who? Belongs to both Karim and who? And Abu in this case. Joint ownership. They own the car together. These are Alpha and Jane's houses. Many houses, they own the houses together. You see, joint ownership. The last person what carries the apostrophe and an S to indicate joint ownership. But when we have 3 or 4, when we have 3 or 4 people owning, are giving or owning given entities separately, each person in the list should what? Carry an apostrophe and an S to indicate separate ownership. So see here, these are Abu's and Karim's cars. Anyway, you see, here we have different cars, and the cars, of course, we have here, Karim has, he is there, and of course, Abu has, he is there too. So we have separate ownership. The idea about the 2 persons in this sentence carrying an apostrophe and an S, is one that gives us a clue about separate ownership. Then, those are Alpha's and Jane's houses. You see, again, the fact that Alpha carries an apostrophe and an S, Jane carries an apostrophe and an S, it means that we are talking about what? Separate ownership. But when 2 or 3 persons own a given entity together, jointly, the last person, okay, the apostrophe and an S, what? Should be used with the last person in this case. So let's have a look at some past question. Did you hear about dash quarrel? Did you hear about dash quarrel? A. Janet's and Tony's. B. Janet's and Tony's. Remember, the quarrel is between 2 persons in this case. 2 persons. We will say they own the quarrel. They own the quarrel. They give right to the quarrel. They own it together. And in this case, the last person should carry the apostrophe and an S in this case, because they own the quarrel together. It's not about separate ownership in this case. So if you say Janet and Tony's quarrel, then we're talking about 2 separate quarrel. Okay, 2 separate, odd happenings in this case. So of course A is wrong. B, Janet and Tony's is fine. B is our answer. Did you hear about Janet and Tony's quarrel? Fine. C, Janet and Tony's quarrel. Well, this one is what? It's about what? It's about plural possession. Is wrong in this case. C is wrong. And D, did you hear about Janet's and Tony? Of course, very wrong at that. Okay? When 2 people, of course, own a given entity together, what happens? The last person in the list is supposed to carry the apostrophe and an S. So D is wrong. B is correct for the reason I have, of course, explained. The thing I've explained. The idea I have put forth. Now, this one is actually not joint ownership, but something to do with what? With possessive or possession, for instance. So this is not your book. It is dash. This is not your book. It is dash. 212. Now, when the idea about owning, the idea behind the owning is very explicit. Normally, we don't even bring about the entity. We only bring about the apostrophe and an S to see, for instance, this is mine, and this is what? It's yours. This is Ali's. Okay? Okay, this is mine, and this is what? Abu's. Okay? This pen is mine, and that one is Abu's. Why don't we say, and that one is, and that pen is Abu's? So we remove the pen, and with the addition of the apostrophe and S, it is okay to, in fact, it is explicit to believe that, in fact, we are talking about what? Something similar thing. This pen is mine, and that's what? Is Abu's. We mean what? Pen again. Meaning that pen there, what? Is Abu. And that pen, okay, belongs to Abu in this case. So this pen is mine, and that pen is Abu's. Abu's. A-B-U, capital A-B-U, apostrophe S in this case. You see? So this is not your book. It is dash. A, Andrew. No. B, Andrews. So we know, of course, we cannot again bring a book about. We cannot again bring about book, because of course we know that the idea is about book, so we only need the apostrophe and an s in front of the owner. So B, Andrew's book is fine. Okay. C, Andrew's book A. That is what? It's about plural. Several Andrews at that. D, Andrew's. Okay, this is plural possession out of the case. So our answer is what? Is option B. Option B is our answer. That's the idea about it also. Before we go for a break, please don't forget that in fact it is part of the normal practice. Okay, that in fact we are not to use plural. We are to use apostrophe and an s with what? Lifeless object or thing. Okay, like for instance, the robbers, for instance, place. I mean robber in this case. I don't mean those who steal. Okay, the air conditioners cover, for instance, cover. You cannot please. You will say the cover of the air conditioner, because the air conditioner is lifeless. Is lifeless like that. Okay, the computer's monitor. No, you say what? The monitor of the computer, for instance. You see, because computer by itself is lifeless. So, but there are exceptions. A day's job, tomorrow's effort, for instance. Those are possible. Okay, but largely you are to avoid, of course, using apostrophe and an s with lifeless object in this case. Okay, instead use what? The possessive preposition of. Of is of, off is off. Off off. As you also have the word as, as. So as is as you know. It should be as you know, not as you know, because the ass, the vulgar language, is as, or the animal we know, of course, that lives in the forest at that. So we are going for a break. When we come back, we have a controversial question. I will give you my own take as to it.
Since the inception of the West African Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination, university requirement has largely called for 5 subjects. Mandatory among these are English language and mathematics. Every year, thousands of students run into the cause of either having to resit for not getting credits on English and mathematics, or painfully changing career path owing to same. To help modify this narrative, Star Television presents on your screen Learning Garage, a platform that guarantees better performance in English language and mathematics with a team of experienced teachers. To this solution, you all are invited, especially those facing WASC. Learning Garage comes to you on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Repeat broadcast are screened on Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and on Sundays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Join host Ali Sonta Kamara.
If you mean such element, then of course we'll say the waters of the world in that regard.
And Babatunde Gaira Lamin on these days to make a world of difference.
Fraction that has a numerator which is less than the denominator, we term it as a proper fraction.
Welcome back. We were talking about tenses, joint ownership. I gave you past questions regarding those. We are turning our attention to a question that I deem very controversial, that I consider to be very, very controversial. Okay, but I know it is controversial if people have difficulty understanding the grammatical sense behind it. Okay, and this is the question. It is I who dash to blame for the lapses. It is I who dash to blame for the lapses. June 2014. Okay, we have it is I who was to blame. It is I who am to blame. It is I who is to blame. It is I who are to blame. Okay, the answer is option B. The answer is option B. Okay? It is I who am to blame for the lapses. Well, if you say it is I who was to blame for the lapses, okay, let me give you my reasons. Proof as to why, in fact, B supposed to be the correct option. Now, proofs. It is always part of the normal practice that, in fact, when we conjugate the verb to be with the present, with the personal pronoun, you will never hear I. You will never hear I is. You will always hear, or shall I say, see. You will never see I is or hear I is. You always hear or see I am, and the past being I was. Okay? When it conjugates, to conjugate the verb means what? To look at the different forms, pattern the verb takes. I mean, in this case. So it's always what? I am, present tense, and past tense, I was. Are we there? Good. So we go back to the question. It is I who dash to blame for the lapses. Okay? It is part of, whenever we conjugate the verb to be and using the personal pronoun, you will never hear or see I is, but you always see I am. You cannot say I is, or you cannot say. Remember, under sequence of tense, the verb here is in present tense. We are expecting any verb coming here to be what? Also in present tense. Okay, sequence of tense. If this verb here had been in past tense, so the verb coming here, of course, if it had been in past tense, the verb coming here would have been, of course, also, if it has been in past tense, the verb coming here would have been in past tense. But because is in present tense, we require the element occupying this place. The element to occupy this place was supposed to be in present tense. So, of course, what cannot be the answer? And is cannot as well. Okay? So, the first proof is this. Second proof. Now, when the relative pronoun that, which, or who is the subject of an adjective clause, the verb in the clause agrees with the word to which the relative pronoun refers. Let me explain to you what this means before coming to the... Okay, let me give you an example, for instance. Now, see here. The adjectival clause is who raised puppies. And here, after who, we don't have a subject. We don't have any internal subject. In this case, who is serving as the subject. So when we have a sequence like this, you have a who, or which, or that, and after who, or which, or that, you don't have noun or other pronoun to serve as an internal subject that will, of course, conform, that will agree with the verb there. If we lack an internal noun or pronoun, the verb in this clause supposed to be in conformity with the word to which the clause refers. This entire clause is telling us about what? Neighbors. I have neighbors. Which neighbors? Well, the ones who raise puppies. Normally, singular action verb will carry S, plural action verb no S. So we don't add any S to raise because this raise is what? Referring to neighbors. Neighbor here is what? Plural. Okay? So, another example, I have a neighbor who raises puppies. The adjectival clause is who raises. Okay? This clause is referring to what? To neighbor. It's telling us more about neighbor. It's qualifying the noun neighbor. And after who, we lack an internal subject. We don't have any noun or pronoun to agree with this. So when we lack a noun or pronoun after who or that or which in an adjectival clause, the verb that comes after the who or which or that supposed to agree with the word to which the adjectival clause refers. So here we have added S to the verb raise to be in conformity with the noun neighbor. Neighbor is one person in this case, so we say raises. So it agrees. So you see, very, very essential at that. So the third proof is this. When describing events that occur at the same time, use verb in the same tense. When describing events that occur at the same time, use verbs in the same tense. Okay? Of course, the coach blows the whistle as the swimmers dive into the pool, because the issue behind blowing and the one doing with diving occur at the same time, meaning they occur. So we use what? We use the same tense to indicate that they happen at the same time. Present tense at that. So that's the third rule. So we come back to our question. Come again to our question. Now, the first thing I told you, when we conjugate the verb to be with the personal pronoun, we will never use I is. Always what is I am and the past tense I was. Good. Secondly, when we have the entire thing from here to here, we call what? This is what we refer to as adjectival clause. Here after who, we don't have any noun or pronoun. We don't have any noun or pronoun that should be in conformity with any verb that occupy this place. Okay? So because we lack an internal subject, any verb coming here is supposed to be in conformity with what? With this personal pronoun I. Should agree. So of course, the only verb that will agree with the personal pronoun I will be what? Am. It is I who am. It should not be it is I who is. Because you never have. So if you put is here, it should not be in conformity with the personal pronoun I. Never should it be. And D, we have are. So of course, I've given you 3 reasons why in fact B is our answer. 3 powerful reasons. Again, the first one I told you, when we conjugate verb to be with personal pronoun, you see we have I am and I was. Secondly, when the relative pronoun that, which, or who is the subject of an adjective clause, the verb in the clause agrees with the word. Okay? The verb in the clause agrees. Remember, this is the element to have in mind. The verb in the clause agrees with the word to which the relative pronoun, the verb in the clause, agrees. Okay? Agrees with the word to which relative pronoun refers. And the relative pronoun who, of course, what refers what in our first example, our test case, shall I say, the one I gave you. Okay? This who actually is what? Referring to what? To I. It is I. Who? It is I. Who is who? Who. Okay? Who am to blame for the lapses? Our answer is option B. Okay? So that's it for this controversial question. Let me now take it down to something doing with pronunciation. In this case, how do we pronounce the ng sound we call velar nasal? The ng sound is called the velar nasal. The ng. Ng is pronounced as ng. The velar nasal. Okay? So always we have to pronounce it in the back of our throat. Shall I say here, behind throat. We are to close off. Here, the rule behind using the ng, let me just say, is about we are never to what? We are never to pronounce the G sound when a word ends in ng. When a word ends in ng, we are never to pronounce the G sound. The G sound should be ng. Okay? Like for instance, singing. Sing. S-I-N-G is sing, not sing. You see again, for instance, W-I-N-G, wing. Wing, not wing. You see? R-I-N-G, ring, at that. So if you add anything onto that word, that the sound still remains is ng. So ringing, singing, even the idea of wing, W-I-N-G. Okay, if you add anything onto that word, the sound of the ng, the sound not change, the ng sound not change. So also winger, it should not be winger. Okay, that player is a very good winger. No, that player is a very good winger. It's a very good winger, that, not a very good winger. That player is a very good winger, not a very good winger. Okay? He is a very good singer, not a very good singer. So, but there are circumstances in which the G can be pronounced. We will only pronounce the G when the G or the NG or the element coming after the NG is part of the root of the word itself. Like for instance, if you have finger, F-I-N-G-R, finger. Okay? What is the basic root of the word? F-I-N-G-R. Is it fin? No, it's finger. Finger is the basic root. We cannot break it down any further. Okay? So of course, because we cannot break it down any further, the ER is part of what the word itself. So what? We will pronounce what? The G sound as what? Finger. Not finger. Finger, that. Okay? So we will only pronounce the G sound when elements coming after the G are part of the root of the word. Elements coming after the NG are part of the root of the word. But if they are not, they can be, of course, omitted. We have the basic root. Of course, the NG should always be pronounced as what? As nga. Nga, at that. Singer. Winger. Okay? So this is how we bring down the cutting of today's program. We bring it down until, of course, Wednesday. We'll, of course, say tata. Have a nice day. Thank you very much for sparing your time with us on today's length. Until then, I have been your presenter, Sonta.
Since the inception of the West African Senior Secondary School Certificate Examination, university requirement has largely called for 5 subjects. Mandatory among these are English language and mathematics. Every year, thousands of students run into the cause of either having to resit for not getting credit on English and mathematics or painfully changing career path owing to same. To help modify this narrative, Star Television presents on your screen Learning Garage, a platform that guarantees better performance in English language and mathematics with a team of experienced teachers. To this solution, you all are invited, especially those facing WASC. Learning Garage comes to you on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Repeat broadcast are screened on Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and on Sundays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Join host Ali Sonta Kamara.
If you mean such element, then of course we'll say the waters of the world in that regard.
And Babatunde Gaira Lamin on these days to make a world of difference.
Fraction that has a numerator which is less than the denominator, we term it as a proper fraction.